Okay, let's talk about dressing in thirds. This is the third time I'm recording this video, so hopefully the third time is a charm. My awesome team member, Lisa, made this little PDF for you guys. She made all of the things in my head come to life between her and Amanda. So I'm so thankful to have this for you guys to reference because I know so much of well, style is visual. All of it is visual. So being able to look at something, we have talked about dressing in thirds before, and you guys have wanted more information on what that actually looks like. So before we dig into it, I want to remind you that my concept is to keep style simple. My goal is for you to get dressed, look good, feel good, do better, right? So we are not trying to overcomplicate things. Just like with body shape, I don't want you stuck on like, I am bigger on the bottom, so I can't wear this type of shirt or these type of pants. Don't get so stuck. Wear what you love. And if you see an outfit that I post on the style guide after learning more about what dressing is in thirds is, and you're like, Jamie, this outfit is not in thirds. Just know we're not about perfection here. We're not about rules. These are guidelines. So just like guidelines for dressing for your shape are to help you create that visual proportion, it's geometry. It's putting the shapes together, creating the silhouette. It's making something visually appealing because style is visual and we are visual creatures. It is not an end all be all rule. Like you cannot wear white jeans if you're bigger on the bottom or after Labor Day. None of that. We don't do any of that. So, dressing in thirds, you might have a favorite outfit that cuts you in half, but you feel really good in it. It's it's just part of it. Not everything has to go and be perfect because the best style is your confidence. And you could have the cutest outfit on ever. You could have dropped big money on it and you saw it on Instagram or in a magazine. You're like, I'm going to rock this, but you feel awful in it. That's going to show your lack of confidence is going to show more than how cute the outfit is. Nobody's going to see the cute outfit because they're going to see you look uncomfortable. So, with that being said, let's dig in, keep it simple. Dressing in thirds. So, you've probably heard the rule of thirds in photography. If someone takes a photo of a sunset, it's going to look better. It's more visually appealing for that sunset line to be at the top third or the bottom third of the photo rather than right across the middle at 50%. You've heard me talk about tunics before and how I typically loathe them. It's because they tend to cut you in half. Not only cut you in half, but they tend to hit most of us at the biggest part of our body. So, or one of the big parts of our body. It's not the most flattering. It can feel frumpy. And a lot of times, tunics are meant for hiding, not for showing up. So, not to say that there aren't workarounds, that I don't love a good free people tunic sweater. There's like more of a tunic style t-shirt in this season style guide, the Arden tee, that's the long free people. Free people does tunic well. Um, there are tricks to it where it goes in at the waist or where there's slits on the side so it's not this straight across line. But I will admit that I love a good pair of faux leather leggings, a Free People tunic sweater, and a pair of combat boots. One of my favorite outfits for the winter. Is it the most visually appealing, flattering for my shapes outfit? No. Do I love it? Do I feel good in it? Do I get compliments on it? Absolutely. So remember that when getting dressed, don't stress yourself out. Dressing in thirds is often called the golden ratio, which was deemed by the ancient Greeks in architecture. So you might notice that in addition to photography, the rule of thirds, it also applies to architecture. And the best example of that is going to be the Eiffel Tower. So when you look at the Eiffel Tower, you will notice that 2/3 of it is the skinny top portion, and 1/3 is the bigger, heftier bottom portion. So it's not halfway up, bigger and wider and then get skinny. It's 1/3 of the way up. It's got the solid bottom, and then 2/3 at the top is skinny and long. It's visually appealing. So, in addition to architecture and photography, we are going to apply this to style because we are essentially creating that visual appeal and that silhouette to make the most sense of our proportion, right? To make the most visually appealing proportion. It's like architecture, playing with shapes with our body. It's also been called the equation of beauty. So we're going with it. Dress in thirds, feel beautiful. All right, the first page of this PDF is my favorite because it is a graphic that really explains exactly what it looks like to dress in thirds. Here, you're going to see that t-shirt cuts you off in half. The easiest way to see if your outfit is in thirds rather than stressing about it would be to take a photo of it on you. Like cut off your head. So it's going to go from the top of your outfit to the bottom of your outfit, right? Cut off your head and then draw those lines, whether truly physically drawing them, like with your finger on the photo, or just in your brain, cutting that photo into thirds, saying, where does the outfit cut off? If it just cuts off in half, it's not in thirds. But you will see that quickly doing that half tuck is going to give the bottom 2/3 and the top 1/3. That is much more visually appealing than that. And you can see those when they are next to each other. Another way to do it is to bring in the waist with a belt, but it's not my favorite way to do it with a top and pants or a top and skirts. You can leave the shirt out and wear a belt, and it technically works because it brings the eye right here. But my favorite way is with a jacket, a denim jacket at that. So I brought in the waist here with the jacket. This technically works. Now, if you had the shirt tucked and the jacket, it'd be the best way to do it. But we're not talking about always the best way to do it. We're talking about the most simple way to do it. So if you're wearing a pair of jeans or maybe the Spanx leggings and you want to cover your booty, bring in the waist with a jacket. Here we have the rule of thirds twice. So not only do we have it with the denim being the bottom 2/3 and the tucked in top being the top 1/3, but we have it with the cardigan. So the cardigan is going to cover the top 2/3, and then the bottom 1/3 with the jeans. So if you were to cover it like that, you could see how it's cut into thirds two ways. So when your outfit is half and half, it cuts you off. It makes you look frumpy. But when you break it into thirds, it's more visually appealing, which also is slimming. And the goal is not to look your slimmest or skinniest at all times. It's just the most visually appealing. So really quick and easy way to look at your outfits is by drawing this, either physically or just, visually marking it. But I also wanted to give you guys some actual examples you'll see on the following pages of what do real outfits look like with this. And before I get into that a little bit, one way that you can elongate the bottom half is to keep your shoes the same color as your pants. So someone recently asked in the Style Society if a cropped flare, I think it was either a wide leg or a cropped flare, and they were dark with they were like a tan color Chelsea boot at the bottom, if it worked. The length of the denim totally worked. The style was awesome. But because there was such a contrast in the color of pant and shoe, it's fine. She could wear it. But it kind of cuts you off because of that contrast. If her shoes were black with those dark jeans, it would flow all as one. It would look like an extension of her legs. So you might have heard me talk about, or others talk about before, how wearing a nude or skin colored shoe is going to elongate you. So continuing the color at the bottom is going to work in your favor when it comes to dressing in thirds, because it's going to continue that line. If you're wearing a skirt, if you put on black tights and black shoes, you can elongate that look and keep the color going to create that bottom 2/3. So one example, the easiest example of them all, is to bring in the waist with a half tuck, a full tuck, front tuck, and then that higher rise of jean. The jeans don't have to be high rise, because technically, even if they're mid rise, you're still going to have that bottom 2/3 be that proportion, and then the top third. But it does elongate the leg to have the higher waist, and it does create more true to proportion. It does not have to be exact. The high waist creates that more true to third to 2/3 ratio, but you still have, the gist of it with a mid rise being the pant. Um, and then the top tucked in. And another way to do that is to add a jacket to it or add that long layer to create the 1/3 at the bottom and 2/3 at the top. All right, another article of clothing is the skirt. So you could do a midi skirt or a maxi skirt. With a maxi skirt or a maxi dress. A lot of times you'll notice belts come with maxi dresses because it's just one column, right? So breaking that up into 1/3 and 2/3 is why is flattering. It's flattering for all body shapes to bring in your waist, and it's flattering because of the rule of thirds. So bringing in the waist, whether it's with the belt that comes with the dress, which I typically don't recommend doing, you can. Um, if it's a plain dress, that's typically better than if it's a printed dress. I say put on like a leather belt or something with it and create even more contrast. But you can do it with a belt, you could do it with a jacket. If it's a skirt, you could tuck in your shirt and create that 1/3 and 2/3. If it's a short skirt, like I said before, you could continue that line with tights and boots or heels, whatever, the same color going down. With a shorter dress, so say you have a dress that's like at the knee or above the knee, you could still do a belt with it, but a more cropped jacket. So you're not going to want the jacket that hits you like right at the hip. You're going to want a little bit more cropped so you can have the 2/3 on the bottom and the 1/3 at the top. Yeah, there's examples on here of all of this so you can take a look, and then you could start to create your own outfit. Then another way to do it, you can tuck the shirt and add the belt. The belt really just draws the eye there. Now, if you're bigger in the middle, yes, you still want to bring in your natural waist a little bit, but typically you're not going to want to bring in a belt and tuck your shirt. You don't want to draw the eye there like that. So I would say we don't want to use belts to add bulk to us, but if you are straight up and down, you could create that waist with the belt. It works well with, I think, the maxi dress. It works really well. And trousers, it looks really cute. You could see with this outfit, she's got the belt and the tuck. And because it's a higher rise, even though her pants aren't all the way, as long all the way to the ground, it still works because it's a higher rise. And here, I love this one because she's got on leggings and a crop top. So this brings in her natural waist, but she actually has on a longer tank under here because that's how she felt more comfortable with that. But because that same idea of having that monochromatic look here, you can't really tell. So it still brings in her waist with that crop top. Another way to really have that more slimming effect with dressing in thirds is to do that monochromatic, excuse me. My water is gone and I'm addicted to Olipop. That monochromatic look. We know that monochromatic is chic. It's easy. It's always in style. It's also slimming. But if you dress in head to toe black and adding a jacket that hits you at the waist, it's really going to stand out with that dressing in thirds. Or adding like a tan duster that goes to your calves, that's going to break it in thirds as well. So that column or that monochromatic dressing is going to work. If you're wearing a midi skirt and you put on a long sleeve tee and you don't tuck it in and you leave it to your hips, that is going to cut you in half like a tunic, right? Like a tunic and a pair of pants. So tucking that shirt brings that outfit to be following the rule of thirds, and is much more visually appealing and interesting and cute and fun than cutting your body in half. So like I said at the beginning, the easiest way to look at doing this is like, is this outfit in thirds or not? Is to draw those lines and just break the outfit up. Is it in half or is it in thirds, bottom or top? So I hope that's helpful to you guys. You can always refer back to this little guide. But if you have any questions, let me know in the Facebook group and I'm happy to answer. And I'd love for you to post your outfits of changing it. Like maybe there's an outfit you've always been wearing and didn't know why it was a little bit off. And you tucked the shirt or added a belt or added the jacket. And now it's in the 1/3 and 2/3. Like, oh, I love this. I would love for you to share it on our Facebook page. I want to see and cheer you on. And then others will start to get, when we share our pictures, others start to get more inspired and think, oh, I have something like that in my closet. And it's less, I need to go shopping, and more like, oh, I can make what I have work too. So as always, thank you for being here, and I hope this is helpful.